U.S. President Donald Trump hunts for support in 4 battleground states, while Democratic rival Joe Biden focuses on Pennsylvania and Ohio during the final day of campaigning in their race for the White House. Trump trails Biden in national opinion polls, but the race is seen as close enough in swing states that Trump could still piece together the 270 votes needed to prevail in the state-by-state Electoral College that determines the winner. Let's get an update now from our correspondent in Washington, Nick Harper, who's monitoring the Biden campaign. Well, Nick, welcome. This is the last day of campaigning. Tell us about the latest regarding this Biden campaign.
Yeah, it's certainly a very busy day for both candidates. Joe Biden spending some time in Ohio, where he hopes to be able to turn around what we saw 4 years ago. Donald Trump won Ohio by about 8 percentage points. He's also spending a good portion of the day holding 3 rallies in Pennsylvania. That is a state that's now being seen really as one of the important states that will have the keys to the White House for either men. And that's why Joe Biden is focusing so much time there. Donald Trump had 4 rallies in Pennsylvania on Saturday. It is seen as a very important place, and Joe Biden will be trying to push the Latino and black vote. There is some concern in the Democratic Party at the moment that there appears to be a low turnout in early voting from those minority communities, the African American and Latino communities that are very much the bedrock of the Democratic Party. Those are the type of votes that the Democrats have been able to rely on for decades. But there is some concern that at this stage communities of colour aren't quite turning out. Let me just tell you a little bit about where I am as well. I'm in Wilmington, Delaware. This is the home city of Joe Biden. It's also where he'll be tomorrow night on election night. And just behind me you can see the area, the stage where he'll be giving a speech from on the night. You can see they're still setting it up. We've got a big construction truck behind us. They're laying down concrete barriers. They're putting up pillars and pylons. Lots of work still being done, about another 36 hours before Joe Biden will be here, perhaps a little bit longer. But they're trying to get it all ready, and while they do, their man Joe Biden crisscrossing the US in Ohio and Pennsylvania, doing what he can to drum up voting and support on this final full day of campaigning.
How has their attendance been like? I mean, one would imagine how the appeal would have been like if it wasn't because of COVID-19 restrictions, especially when people have to practice social distancing, and the crowd turnover would not be the same as if things were just normal.
Well, certainly the two candidates are coming at it from 2 very different perspectives when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. These rallies that the both men have been holding, they've done them in very different ways. Donald Trump holding these large-scale rallies. Joe Biden has called them super spreader events because there's very little social distancing, very few people wearing masks. It has been predicted by a Stanford University study that came out over the weekend that potentially as many as 700 people who'd been to these Donald Trump rallies over the last few months had contracted COVID-19 and ended up dying. Joe Biden, on the other hand, has been holding driving rallies, so people maintain social distancing, they stay in their cars. Even his Tuesday night election night event here will be outside in a car park. It will be socially distanced, people being kept apart as much as possible. Joe Biden says that Donald Trump's handling of the pandemic disqualifies him from a second term in office, saying that he has mismanaged it, that we've seen many more infections and many more deaths in the United States than we should have done if Donald Trump had gone ahead and put in some measures earlier on. So they are both trying to present this in different ways, and it's been very obvious from the type of rallies that they've been holding that they come at it from very, very, very different perspectives.
So other than COVID-19, do we get a sense of what's really appealing to the masses in terms of who they would follow and regarding what they stand for concerning economic recovery, economic growth, as well as job creation? Because when you look at the US economy, Donald Trump was saying that he would come up with somewhat protectionist policies where manufacturing should be done in the US so that the jobs must be created locally, and also closing the borders so that foreigners should not take up the jobs of the locals.
Yeah, certainly when it comes to the economy in relation to COVID-19, Donald Trump has been trying to portray his rival, Joe Biden, as the man who would completely lock down the economy, completely shut down growth in the United States. He's been warning at rallies over the last few days that Joe Biden would essentially cancel Thanksgiving, cancel Christmas, cancel every big event in order to essentially just shut down the economy, whereas Donald Trump is trying to keep it open. We have seen growth in recent months with job figures and GDP suggesting that there is growth returning as a result of the economy being reopened, but there is some real fear from health officials that not enough is being done, that there should be some form of lockdown or at least a partial shutdown of the economy in order to help maintain the social distancing, to maintain people staying away from each other and to try and stop the very rapid rise in infections that we have seen. We've seen record numbers within the last week of new daily infections in the US. Deaths are continuing to climb, and in about 47 of the 50 states we are still seeing cases on the rise. So even though Donald Trump is saying that Joe Biden would shut down the economy and he himself would do very little, health experts are saying something needs to be done. Even the top US health official, Dr. Fauci, warned about that over the weekend. He painted a picture of the two men taking very different approaches. He said that Joe Biden was someone who was taking the thing seriously, whereas Donald Trump was only focused on the economy and the reopening of it. COVID-19 and the economic fallout very much on voters' minds. It is central to this election, and I imagine it will be determine the way that many people vote at the ballot box.
Right, and Nick Harper coming to us live from Delaware in the United States and giving us the countdown to the US elections.